Hi, this is Belinda, your Maryland Realtor, and today I am going to talk to you about real estate investing. And I know that it's a topic that sounds a little bit daunting or that sounds a little bit nerve wracking when you talk about real estate investing because many people would think that you will need to have millions of dollars in the bank or in your account in order for you to start investing in real estate. But actually, it's very simple. It's much simpler than what most people think. So let me first start by saying that not only that real estate investing is very simple, but you can even do that if you own a home. You can probably even get started already. So I will give you an example. So if you own, let's say, a house that may have two levels, a basement and just a first level, and if you are basically just staying there with your spouse and significant other, and you have a finished basement, so to speak, you can rent out that basement to somebody else. I mean, provided that it fits the code and regulation. So the code is to have for the basement to have aeration, so to have a window to for light, and also as an exit, as a way to exit the house, God forbid, in case of a fire, and then also have, walk up basement, have a door that leads to the outside. So you can start renting out that space, and that's basically investing, becoming a real estate investor, because you have a tenant there that pays their rent, and that money can help alleviate in your monthly mortgage payment, or you can use that money to basically save and do other things. So that's one of the very, very minor or very first step, into real estate investing. Also, if you are, I talk about the starter home, the concept of a starter home. So if you, let's say you are a young person and you just started your new job, and then you have a starter home, let's say a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, you can rent out those 2 bedrooms, those two extra bedrooms that you have, and rent them out. And that's also being a real estate investor, because you are renting them out, and whether that rent helps you alleviate those bills, the monthly mortgage or maintenance of the house or what have you. You want to have extra money so that you can put into your retirement fund, or you want to save up some more so that you can buy other investment. So that's a way also of becoming a real estate investor. So having said that, and then also there's a caveat, you also have to make sure that as you are planning to have to rent out those spaces, that you are falling within the guideline of your the person who's lending you the money. So FHA has a different guideline when it comes to real estate investment. So because the property you're supposed to be your primary property, so I will ask that you follow up with your lender, that you let them know that this is what you intend to do, and or there are some HOA if you are living in an area where the HOA does not allow for people to rent out the house, or even with Airbnb, you can also check with that. And then, so as a realtor, I always tell my clients, if there's a HOA, as a realtor, I will read the contract, I will read everything that entails into the HOA, but they will also need to read that prior to even signing off on the contract on the contract of sale. Because if you see there's something there that just doesn't sit well with you, then you should move forward with the purchase of the home. And then also there's Airbnb. So many people have, so with Airbnb, there are some people who are renting out, either one side of the house, they're doing a short-term rental, don't really want to deal with the upkeep and maintenance of the larger, or the full Airbnb experience. So they will rent out a room or two, or even a floor, an entire floor, to people who are visiting. So that's also a form of investment. That's a form of real estate investment. So that's the very basic. That's the way that you can start into getting into a real estate investment. But there's also another way, and this may you may think that it's a little far-fetched, or it's a little too good to be true, but there are some programs out there where you can purchase a home, an investment property, with very little of your own money. So this is probably done in the private investor sector. So we call this private investor, who will basically loan you the money regardless of your credit score, regardless of your income. They will give you a certain percentage of the after repair value of the home for an investment property. And these people are called, the slang term, not really slang term, but the most common term is known as hard money lenders, because they're not traditional lenders. Traditional lenders tend to look at your credit, they tend to look at your income, because they will use that as a baseline of knowing how much money that they can lend you. And then because you're dealing with banks don't really want to deal with somebody who does not have a stable income, where they can basically have to file for bankruptcy, and then the whole process of them foreclosing on your home. It's just a lengthy process that the bank doesn't really want to deal with it. And then so that they will make the loans according to your income, according to the debt that you have. So we have a DTI, debt to income ratio, and they will also loan you based not only on this factor, but also on your credit score. But the hard money lender, or the private lenders, they'll solely look at the house that you're trying to purchase. They will look at the neighborhood. If it's a safe neighborhood, safe quote unquote neighborhood, if it's a neighborhood that tends to appreciate, they will be able to fund that deal for you at a certain percentage. So you will have some that will lend you 80% of the value of the home after repair, or some that will lend you 75%. So that's depending on the market conditions. So it's very easy to get on that. And I also am not only a real estate agent or realtor and a realtor, but I'm also a real estate investor. So I work closely with those private lenders or hard money lenders. And as I say, they have the different guidelines on what to do. So to start that process, you will probably have to look in quote unquote in a neighborhood that is quote unquote safe, or in a neighborhood that tend to appreciate in value. And then you will look for not the pretty houses. So you will look at houses that kind of need repair, because when you buy those houses, you'll buy them at a discounted price, but the lender will lend you based on the after repair value. So let's say you see a house or you buy a house at $200,000, but the house in the neighborhood are basically $400,000. So they will lend you, if your hard money lenders tells you that they will lend you 80% of the after repair value, so they will be able to lend you up to 80% of $400,000, which is $320 that they will lend you for that property. So let's say if that property needs some fixing and what have you, it needs $100,000 in fixing. So you can use also those funds in order to repair the property, and then being able to put some, either you can what we call flip, but now the term is mostly rehab. You rehab the property and then you sell it, or you can decide to hold on to that property and then put some tenants in there. So to each side there are some pros and cons. Whether you decide to sell it right away after you rehab it, or you decide to put on some tenants there, whether it's a long-term tenant or short-term tenants. Short-term tenants, so we're talking about Airbnb, we're talking about VRBO, so vacation rental by owners. So you can do that. But one downside of using the hard money lenders is that they will have their interest fees are really high. And the reason that hard money lenders don't really look at your income, they don't really look at your credit score, because their collateral will be the house. If they know that the house is $200,000, but it's really the houses in the neighborhood sell for $400,000, and that you need X amount of repair, at the price that is reasonable, where they know that they can make the profit. So if you fail to pay on this payment, making on this payment on time, so they will take on the house. So it's a win-win situation when you really look at it, especially if you know what you're doing, and then if you know that you have some tenants, or that you have a game plan ahead of time, so that you can confidently borrow money from them, knowing that you will either, after you finish fixing it, if you decide to sell it, that you will sell it in a timely record, or if you decide to hold on to the property, maybe you would think about a second strategy, which is to refinance, to basically have some type of financing where you pay your hard money lender, and then you will have a so-called quote-unquote close to a traditional loan, so where your interest rate is not as high. But anyway, and then also the other strategy, and then because especially when you have to put in tenants, most people tend to shy away from that because of all that it entails, of all the work that it requires, finding tenants, screening them, and then collecting money. So last week I talked about rent to own program. So rent to own program, it's really good, especially when you are a newbie investor and you are new into rehabbing those property and then to hold these properties. So you can have that agreement with your tenant, so they will take better care of that house, and that at least in 2 to 3 years, depending on the contract that you draft, depending on the terms that you have in your contract, that you will sell the house in X amount of time, but you'll be able to make some profit from that house. But anyway, I'll talk more about investment properties, or also real estate investing, and please let me know if that's something that you like, and also like, share, and comment on this video, and also subscribe. So I will talk to you later. This is Belinda, and I help people build generational wealth with real estate. Talk to you. Bye.